Hello and welcome to Aftersound Review, and this is my review for Faaeal Poppy, and this is one of the really cheap item that I found to be quite famous, I think, at around only 10 bucks only. So it's a really cheap item, but let me tell you the truth that when I saw them at first, it just looks quite good. I mean, take a look at those metallic housing and also this nice neat cable here. It just feels much better than its price point. But let's see how they sound. And first of all, thank you for Dwika for lending me his collections to be reviewed. And just like usual, I will review them based on build, fit, frequency response, sound, and also comparison. Okay, for the build quality for this Faaeal Poppy, I think for around 10 bucks only, the build quality is quite nice because it's all using metal here. As you can see, it's using all metal parts, and even the nozzle is also made of metal. So for me, the build quality is quite convincing, and maybe it reminds you a bit with the Moondrop spaceship, because yes, it's really similar, but spaceship is still smaller than this. Also the filter, again, it's made of metal, and then it's quite nice that we get strain relief at this part, so the cable won't be break easily. Also the cable itself feels a little bit thick and also quite flexible. It's not stiff at all, so and it's not microphonic, so it's quite good. But the unique thing that I find is how it is really similar to the cable of the Moondrop Quarks. You can see the upper parts where the cable is thinner, it looks almost exactly the same, and also where the thicker cable is, again, it literally it looks really similar. So it's quite interesting finding. When it comes to ergonomics, the ballot type items like this is easily gets into my ear in great comfort. Whether you use them straight down or like this or over ear, it just feels really comfortable. Frequency response of this Faaeal Poppy, I could say that it's kinda U-shaped-ish with a lot of bassy warm sound, but suddenly there's a treble peak around this area that makes the whole sounds not really, how could I say it, not really harmonics, because you can feel and you can hear that it's kinda harsh sometimes in some tracks, and this peak definitely proves that. But even though there's a treble peak around this area, after that the treble is rolled off without any air at all. So for me, it's kind of confusing when it comes to the overall tonality itself. It's kind of warm when you take a look at this part only, but there's sometimes a sudden peak and after that it's rolled off. So it's just a really weird tonal balance for me. And when it comes to comparison with this KZ-EDX, for me KZ-EDX it still sounds quite V-shaped, and for some people, yes, it could be a little bit overwhelming with its sharpness, but at least in the EDX I could feel that it will be kinda sharp, it will be kinda shouty, because there's definitely a raise in the upper mid and then treble area, but there's no sudden feeling that I feel when I hear the Poppy. And compare them with this TRN MT1. Also the TRN MT1 for me, it's more, how could I say it, it's more harmonics. It has better overall presentation, more balance. It has shouty upper mid-range, yes, I can hear that, but after that it's accompanied with a very good bass, and then the treble is quite safe and smooth. While again, compared to the Faaeal Poppy always has this kind of sudden peak that I always hear. And this is compared to the Moondrop Quarks, which I say that it's somehow quite similar to the F-neutral-ish. And when it comes to the sound itself, yes, the Quarks is the most neutral and most balanced of them all. The sound for this Faaeal Poppy, for me it's in a really awkward position, because no matter what kind of song I play through my iBus, so the X160, or even my phone, they will always sound thick. That's the first thing you will notice, because the bass is thick and also the vocal is quite thick, but there's always this harsh treble peak that I always feel in every song. For example, please try Ed Sheeran's Galway Girl or maybe Kenji Yonezu's Campanella. You will feel that the percussion and also some treble notes up in there, you will hear that there's treble pick that is quite harsh. No matter what kind of tips I use and no matter what kind of source I tried, there's always that annoying pick, even though it sounds actually quite thin. So I really don't like this kind of tonality because it's awkward. It's not overall thick and smooth, or it's not also thin and bright. It's just sitting awkwardly in the middle. The bass is quite punchy actually, and it's thick, but it's slow and it's bleeding to its mid-range. So the mid-range itself actually feels quite, like I said, thick and a little bit backward in position compared to the bass. And then even though it's quite thick, it doesn't feel totally smooth. There's a graininess around the mid-range area. And talking about the treble, this is the one that I truly hate because it's not energetic, it's not pushed forward, but suddenly we'll feel that treble pick that I always say. It's just harsh and it feels so sudden and just makes the whole signature of the sound is really awkward, and I don't know what kind of song that will fit this kind of tonality. It's just, when it comes to rock, for me somehow the bass is too slow. When it comes to vocal, the vocal is quite backward and it's kind of get that bleed from that mid bass. And also when I play EDMs, I feel that the treble is somehow quite harsh, so I don't feel that I find a good genre for this IM to play. And then the technicality itself is also quite bad because of that mid-bass split towards its mid-range. For me, the separation level and detail is not really good, and also soundstage feels quite compressed, and yeah, for me it's just not really good. Here's the problem again, because I have a lot of IMs that it's cost around 10 bucks, like the KZ EDX, TRN MT1, the MH755 from Sony, the Moondrop Quarks, or maybe the KKZ VK4. And for me, all of these IMs has some kind of specialty, has kind of some quality that I always can respect and always can suggest for some people that likes a kind of genre. For example, for rock music, I will recommend this this KZ EDX, and when you like also rock, I can feel that the TRN MT1 or the KZ EDX somehow will provide this kind of sharpness and also that bite from the guitar and also the vocal that you will need from rock music. If you like female vocal, for me the MH755 is still somehow the best. It gives that sweetness that you will find for female vocal and also acoustic music. For me, it's just really well tuned, especially for female vocal. Also, the Moondrop Quarks also have the same sweetness and also control for female vocal actually. But for me, somehow the most versatile one is still this KKZ VK4 because it has a punchy bass. The vocal is also still sweet, and the treble is well controlled. It has a little bit of a treble pick, but for me that's quite minor. But compared them with this Faaeal Poppy, I really don't know. I haven't found any genre that could suit this Faaeal Poppy. So like I said, the sound, it's really awkward. It's the muddiest of them all, but somehow the pick is the most noticeable because you feel that muddiness, you feel that it sounds almost dark, but sometimes there's sudden sharpness that you will hear at around treble pick. So yeah, it's just really awkward. I don't know, it's really strange. So yeah, for my final verdict for this IM, the pros are, of course, it fits nicely in my ears, and also I think the build quality is quite good, and maybe the voice, the sound is for those who like warm-ish kind of sound. But here's the thing that I don't really like actually, the cons itself, is the overall quality and overall tonality of this IM. I just don't get it. I mean, the sound is really awkward. If I say it's warm, yes, the vocal is quite thick, the bass is quite thick, but it's not a really good quality. I mean, the bass is quite sluggish, and also the vocal is kind of compressed for me. It's somehow quite, it's not recessed, but it's compressed in dynamic. It doesn't really have this emotion from the vocal. And also somehow, even though the bass and also vocal is quite thick, but there's treble picks that can be annoying sometimes, that will always give you some kind of plasticness, also metallic timbre when you hear a little bit harsh recording. So it's easily spotted. I mean, the pick in the treble area is easily spotted in any kind of songs. So it's just, for me, the sound is really awkward. I can't help but say that it's not warm, it's not smooth because of the treble pick, but it's not neutral and it's not bright either because of how thick and slow the bass and also mid-range is. So I just can't find any genre that will suit this IM the most. I just say that maybe you should pick TRN MT1 or maybe the Moondrop Quarks for me, that has better focus in tuning. Okay, I think that's all for me. I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you have any question, please write down in the comments below, and see you next time. Bye bye.